Welcome back to the final segment of The Uncomfortable Truth as we look at South Africa's water crisis. Back to our panel in just a moment, but some of the issues that haven't been raised is when do we declare a national disaster? It's been said that the next world war is going to be fought around water. I wonder if that is a fallacious statement. And we also hear this term not only in this country, not only in the continent, but around the world, water apartheid, where the poorest struggle and die first. Is that really something that we're paying enough attention to? Possibly we'll get to those issues and others as I wade back into our audience. Ma'am, welcome to you.
My question is, how safe is the remaining water? How clean is the remaining water? Thank you.
Is rainwater. Sorry, how safe is rainwater?
Is the existing supply, I think is what you're saying.
Oh, is the supply chain? Okay. The KZN example is a very good example because it's mostly off the radar screen because of our inability to manage our waste, particularly our sewage management. And we're starting to see cases, serious cases now, of what is known as necrotizing fasciitis. So it's a fancy word for flesh-eating bacteria. We've had 2 cases now, at least that I know of, on the VAAL. We've had 1 case recently in KZN, and that all comes from pathogens in sewage that ends up in water, very often in saline water, which then gets back to the issue of the salinization of the VAAL. As we're salinizing the VAAL more from the acid mine drainage return flows, we're reducing the amount of water we can use elsewhere, but we're also creating ideal conditions for the emergence of some of these pathogens. So it's a very complex issue, but the bottom line, I think the unspoken story here now is the emerging human health crisis, and I just mentioned one of them that I'm aware of now, the emergence of hepatitis A. And hepatitis A is a waterborne form of hepatitis. And it's not widely reported yet, but I work with pathologists and what have you, and they are reporting now anecdotally to me that this is there's an uptick. So we need proper work at the Water Research Commission now to start documenting that.
The lady over here, you have the microphone. Over to you.
One thing is very clear, there is a chasm between planning and implementation. And we have seen that particularly in the VAAL area. There's so many plans going on, but nothing ever happens. We have had a crisis there going on 2 years now, where E. coli counts are in the millions in the river, and there is no action yet.
What action are you seeking, and who, in your opinion, should be implementing it?
Well, I think the Department of Water and Sanitation are actually taking some responsibility here in that they have formed a coalition, if you like, or an agreement with a water specialist, ERWAT, now, who are going to actually implement a plan to fix all the infrastructure. It's not too late, but there is no sense of urgency. So nothing is happening. We've had this crisis going on since 2018, and still there is no work being done on the ground. They're still looking at plans.
Mr. Malice, I am concerned when I hear phrases like lack of urgency.
So in this regard, that in the VAAL situation, we have intervened. The Minister of Finance made the first recommendation for even the SNDF to move in to come and assist, and that was done. However, obviously, that was more to look at the primary problem that was caused through vandalism, that caused pump stations that collect this wastewater also that spill into the system to be actually looked after and then fixed. We also then appointed ERWAT to come and assist and actually fix what is there, and not only to fix what is there, but also the big issue that's there is operations and maintenance.
I'm sensing a quick rebuttal, ma'am. So can we just get it back to you, and then I'm going to come straight back to you, ma'am, very quickly.
It's taken far too long, and there is the question about the responsibility of the Department of Water and Sanitation in terms of water quality in our dams and rivers. And the quality in the VAAL River at the moment is absolutely shocking. And that is very, very good reason for intervention, but nothing is done.
Sir, and then to you, ma'am. Go ahead.
The former president tried to implement the program, whereas on the long run it just collapsed and nobody came forward with any explanation. The department itself had a project that they were supposed to do in the Eastern Cape, in Kumbu. There was supposed to be a dam to be built there. If I may ask you to explain to us as to what happened there, because we've heard in the media that the funds were released, but there is no dam. Don't you think the maladministration in your office is also have an impact to the situation that we found ourselves in.
In terms of the fact of maladministration, we can't say that it was not. If a situation has happened where 81 officials were found guilty of certain forms of offences or deeds that were done that were not supposed to be done, and some of them actually have also been asked to step aside. So it is not all linked, perhaps. It might not be directly linked to the program that you're referring to, but in terms of the department that I'm working for, the message that I get and why I'm comfortable sitting in the seat where I am is that we are trying to turn business around, and that the minister that we had also made a clear point of it as to actually rid whatever has happened. So I can't tell you there was no maladministration as far as the Walden leaks is concerned, but I can't tell you either there was, because I don't have factual information without the investigation that should be actually completed. As far as the question you're concerned with regards to the Eastern Cape, is that I think you referred to the Umzimbubu project.
Yeah.
And in terms of the Umzimbubu project, we were ready to go. We had our internal construction unit on site to actually start. But the situation in the country is that is a social area where there would be no offtake agreements really possible to actually say that we have a business element that will help us in terms of having the dam in place. So it would be completely a social project. National Treasury told us, there's not enough money to actually build what you have planned. So you have to reconfigure what you go back to the drawing board.
In conclusion, I mean,
Yeah, okay,
do we take any solace here? I mean, are we moving incrementally, albeit in the right direction?
In conclusion, I think we must allow ourselves to be happy. We've had too much unhappiness. We must allow ourselves to be happy. We are working with government. I'm a founding member of the Business Water Chamber. We're working closely with government, and there is an appetite for that. We must respect each other. We must stop pointing fingers at each other. The good news story, and I'm looking at the camera, and I'm looking at every citizen in this country. The good news story out there is that water is a flux. It's an infinitely renewable resource. Simple fact. This is what it is. So if we get our minds together, the technology exists, there's sufficient capital, significant amount of capital that's willing to come back into this country, we can turn this thing around. It can become a very, very good news story. Water is an economic enabler. Without water, I'm afraid, we simply can't create jobs, we can't have a happy lifestyle, we can't be a prosperous people again. So water is an economic enabler. This is the important message.
Professor Anthony Turton, scientist specializing in water resource management as a strategic issue. Thank you very much indeed. Co-founder of the South African Water Chamber, Benoit Leroy, give us some hope.
There's definitely hope, because I think we've identified the root causes to a lot of the issues we're speaking about, which we have not in the VAAL area, categorically not identified the root causes. So we can throw as much money as we want, nothing will change, it's getting worse. And we've seen that. But really, what's very clear and what's coming out clearly is that as a society, we're starting to voice our concerns, which I think is encouraging. We need to become more active citizens. I don't think it's in this room where the issue is. We need to, as a society, demand more of what is due to us with water. But the issue we have with our water architecture, we have three spheres of government. We have business, we have society, we have urban, we have rural, and we have climate change hitting us. So I'll go back. There's hope. There's a perfect storm. We need to do things right now.
Professor MPANDELI from the Water Research Commission, I'll take some closing words from you. Again, point us in a more positive direction.
Here in this country, we have got capable institutions that are doing excellent work in terms of driving research and development and innovation. What we need to do is to work with government departments, making sure that the knowledge that we are generating is implemented. Second issue is the fact that we must stop talking. Government keeps on saying we are moving towards a knowledge-based economy. What does that mean if we are still struggling to fail to implement some of the recommendations that are generated by academic institutions, research organizations, and so on? I believe there's a bright future. If we work together, we'll overcome, a majority of these challenges that we're facing right
Professor, I don't think we should stop talking. I think we should maybe talk less and do more. Leodando Manus, you've come in for a hard time on this program. That's a good thing, because it means that we're taking this seriously. Again, you're confident that we're going to turn the corner?
Yes, because we've already done that in certain areas. We haven't done it everywhere, but we are well on our way doing that. I'm sitting here, perhaps in this seat as one individual, but there are quite a number of officials within the department within some of our entities who are doing hard work to actually keep the taps flowing, the water comes from the taps. If I take a situation of last year in the city of Cape Town, did city of Cape Town run out of water? Partially because we have to give thanks to the people in the city of Cape Town who changed their attitudes towards the use of water greatly, but also for people behind the scenes who did their work. Departmental officials, one of them ended up in hospital with a stroke because he worked day and night to ensure that water flows from Theodorskloof Dam to the city of Cape Town so that the water doesn't run out. And it's people like those that I salute, and therefore we will continue. And if we talk about maladministration and corruption, because most of the time when people look at government and those who work in government, they think of corruption. But I can say that government can only be as corrupt as private sector is and allow it to be. So we all have to be in this, and everybody should actually turn that coin also around. Not only is it expected of people sitting in government, those officials who work in government and those who have anticipation or perhaps dreams in the fields where we also require. Perhaps we must also look into it as to say that government can be an employer of choice, because without the resources, human resources also required to do the work, we will fail. So we need to change that image also around.
And I think that is a good place to put a full stop on this discussion. To my esteemed panel members and to our audience members, thank you very much indeed. So it's clear that our water crisis is multifaceted and in dire need of all hands on deck, as we've just heard. For the sake of our communities, for our health and our investment outlook, we have to take decisive action and implement outcomes before it is too late. Thank you for watching.